Hello everyone, and welcome to a video series that I had started a while back. It's called Food for Thought. Now these are essentially thoughts and random things that pop into my head all the time when I'm at work. I had started doing videos about this topic before I had restarted my YouTube channel, and I had started doing it on VidMe, and subsequently VidMe got shut down and servers were closed, so I needed something else. But I was really too lazy to restart or re-record certain videos because, well, as time goes on, my opinions slightly will change, or I want to talk more or less about a certain topic. But anyway, essentially Food for Thought is basically my ramblings of what I think about while I am busy doing other things. And today, what we're going to be talking about is actually something that has been bothering me as I watch different Twitter altercations, as I watch people on the news, and a lot of how this outrage culture has now kind of taken over the internet and its users. Of course, I'm talking about the lack of manners. Something I want to stress before we get into everything is there is a difference between if you are a white knight coming to the aid of everyone who is just a stickler for the rules and respects the whammons and all that kind of, the stuff that gets memed on. There's a difference. If you are white knighting, you are making a parody of somebody who has manners. You are doing it to such an extent that no one can take you seriously. So let's talk about the specifics of what I mean when I actually say manners. A while back, when you were a young little lad or lass, your parents used to tell you that you should treat others how you would like to be treated. You should respect your elders, say please and thank you. And generally, you want to act with some dignity. Now, for some reason, we have decided that that's not important in our society. Either it's not important, or people have just decided that they don't care. Please and thank you come more or less with the scenario. It's not necessarily like people don't say it, but people don't say it really for the right reasons. They kind of just say it as habit, which is fine. I'll accept that. But especially when we start getting into like respect your elders or treat others the way you would like to be treated. Could you imagine what our news cycle would be like, or our current political climate would be like, if people decided that, oh yeah, I should do that. I should treat others the way I would like to be treated. Man, I mean, what is offense? No one could really say, oh, well, I'm offended by your statement. I'm going to go and, complain about this, because somebody would be considering, would they like to hear this? And, by the way, this is not exclusive to one particular side. There are some people on both sides who seem to agree that manners don't exist. And of course, these are the most broad manners I think that everyone kind of knows about. Some of the other ones are patience. This is a virtue, but it is something that it entails more. When you have to be patient, you have to wait and not complain that things are coming too slow for you. Things like waiting for your food, people have to cook it, or not getting up and starting to complain to people who are working. It's these kind of things. Patience is a virtue, but it's also a way in which you act. And I'm going to come back to a couple more manners in a second, but I wanted to move on to the next real important segment of this, which is the idea of respect. Because when we have patience, we are obviously respecting the fact that we are in one position, usually a customer for the sake of the example, And we have to respect the fact that employees, people who we are paying for to perform a task, are doing said task, and it might take some time to do that task. But respect is a little bit more complicated. For me, the idea of respect can easily be summarized by the fact that you have a mutual understanding, you yourself and the person that you are communicating with, that you guys are on mutual standing. You respect one another, there is mutual respect between you, which means that whatever is said is not meant in a negative light. It is not meant to offend. It might be meant to criticize, but that's not a bad thing. It might be meant to criticize, and you will either agree or you will not agree. But the purpose of it all is to have a conversation, to explore different topics, and then come to an agreement, or come to an agreement that you can't come to an agreement, also known as agree to disagree. This is completely alien to most people in university and some people in the news. Whether or not they're just trying to toe the party lines based on their network's political affiliation is irrelevant. There can be mutual respect when you're CNN and you bring on, person A to talk about Trump, for example, and, you ask them a very reasonable question, and they come back at you and they say, well, yes, you're a bigot, then. Well, that's not very respectful. That's not very respectful at all. In fact, that's rather rude. Now we get into the conversation of decorum, which is the appropriateness of a behavior, and the certain customs, traditions, and formalities of certain behavior. The way you talk to people who are in your friend group is not necessarily how you might want to talk to your boss at work. In fact, that might get you a little bit fired. A little bit fired? Can you be a little bit fired? I hope so. I hope so? No. Is there suspension from work? Can there be suspension from work? Do we need that? Okay, another video, another topic, later. Yeah, so you won't talk to your boss the same way you would talk to your friends. You wouldn't talk to your mother the same way that you would talk to your cousin. There are different ways that you will communicate with people, and I go a little bit further into this in a different thought of mine, so I'm gonna more or less keep that conversation to a specific circumstance, and let's keep this one to political conversations. So you are on an interview and someone asks you a question. Proper response should be a well thought out answer, and it should be respectful, and it should be as concise as possible. Now, of course, you don't want to talk over somebody who's asking you a question, and you don't necessarily want to debate in an argumentative fashion if you are truly there for an interview. If you're there for a debate, then sure, you can debate, and there's a certain amount of leeway that you can expect. But if you're there as an interviewer or an interviewee, you must act with a little bit of dignity. I don't think that our society understands these rules. In fact, I'm almost certain that our society doesn't understand these rules, because just look at how people talk to one another on Twitter. Just look at how people talk to each other at events, at these rallies. I mean, are these the people that you would say would respect themselves, respect their political opponents? No, of course not. None of these, no one has the understanding that, these people are people. They have families. They have their opinions and whatnot. Now, I'm going to politely agree to disagree with them, and then explain to them why I think that their position is wrong. Now that part in particular seems to screw with people. If I respect a person, and I respectfully disagree with you, and I bring it to your attention, and I say, look, I don't believe the thing that you said here is accurate. These are the reasons why, right? I don't mean that offensively. I have gotten the response after I make these kind of comments where somebody will say to me, well, it's just my opinion. If you don't like it, you don't have to say anything. Yeah, that's true. I don't have to say anything. But if I didn't say anything, then I would basically be complicit in the fact that you, person who I disagree with, are saying things that I don't believe in and I think are morally, ethically, or factually wrong. And that would be kind of wrong of me to allow you to exist in that circumstance where you are espousing false information. And because I respect you, I will try and politely correct you so that you can properly educate yourself and then go forward with new information. Now, there are times where I'm wrong, and I will respectfully say, my bad, did not know that. But if I'm fact-checking, if I'm researching, if I'm looking up stuff, and I bring evidence to you about why your point is wrong, there's no reason why the response to that is, well, it's my opinion. Come on, really? Are you so insecure in your position that you can't necessarily take any kind of criticism? That's just preposterous. That's bullshit. But anyway, that's going to be enough for this video. Manners, respect, and decorum. I think we need to work on that. If you guys know any of those life lessons that your parents had taught you when you were younger, go ahead and throw those down there. What's your favorite? What's the most important lesson you think people should know? Whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear about them. Throw them down in the comments, and I will see you guys soon.